All right, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. You guys doing? This is James Burson with another live video. As some of you may have noticed, I have been off Facebook, Instagram, as far as my live videos go. But I'm gonna record live videos from my phone. Well, not live videos, record videos from my phone, and I will upload them to my YouTube page. And so this week's Parashah 13, which is Shemot, which means names. Not going to be before you guys long. Just want to make a video for this week's Parashah. And what this Parashah is about is the children of Israel that went into Egypt. Egypt is Mitzrayim, land of lost wisdom. And so they went in 70 souls. And in the beginning of the Parashah, it lists the souls that went into Egypt. After it lists the souls that went into Egypt, it tells that those souls that went into Egypt, all that generation died, including Joseph. And then there arose a new Pharaoh who did not know Joseph. And so, for those who don't know who Joseph is the son of Rachel, which is the wife that Jacob or Yaakov worked for when he was staying with his uncle Laban, his mother's brother. And so he worked for Rachel, and lo and behold, after some time went by, Rachel humbled herself and she bore him 2 children. Joseph was the first, Benjamin was the second. Joseph had dreams, and he was hated by his brothers because of his dreams and him telling them that they were going to worship him and they were all going to bow down to him. And lo and behold, he gets sent into the land of Egypt, and he tells his brothers that you guys shouldn't be upset about what you've done, for God knew this day was coming, and he is the one that sent me ahead to preserve life. So he brings all of them into Egypt. Pharaoh gives them the best land, puts them in the land of Goshen. And so they multiply. They must start multiplying. They fill Egypt, and so on and so forth. And before Jacob dies, Yaakov, what he tells them is, "Don't bury me in Egypt. Bury me in the cave of Machpelah that I purchased from the sons of Het in front of the ruling council, and bury me there where I buried Leah, where my forefathers are. And so he gets buried there, and Joseph makes them promise that when he dies, for him to be carried out of Egypt and brought to where his fathers and his ancestors are buried. So, which brings us into the recap of the 70 souls going into Egypt. What is this about? The names. The names mean something. Your name means something. Your name is significant. You are the only you that is you that God created in the earth. There can never be another duplicate. Why? You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are unique. So it makes perfect sense to me, for those of you who can receive the things that I am about to share, that in the time of 2021, we're going into names. We've already passed the 400-year mark of slavery, so that prophecy has been fulfilled, and now we're moving into the restoration of our names. We have lots of black millionaires in this day and age. We have lots of millionaires in general, and for the enslaved people who were kidnapped, taken from their land and abused, we are now on the rise. Our name is being restored. Why? We have begun coming up slowly but surely, and now we are on the rise. I believe this year our name is being restored. Like I said, I believe 2021 is going to be the year of prosperity, but it's not going to come without a fight. We have been fighting. We have been prospering. Continue to fight. 2020 was the year of clarity. 2020 is clear vision. Perfect vision. Now that the vision It has been made clear, write the vision, make it plain. Now we press towards that mark. And so our names, I believe, are being restored, our identity. Everything that was taken from us, I believe, in this year will begin being restored. And it starts with our names. What else do I look at? The reason why we were oppressed and how things came about is what we need to take a look at. Take a look back in history. And I believe that's why a lot of us as minorities, as blacks, we don't understand how to deal with our pain because we don't understand where the source of it comes from. We may think it's from trauma of growing up and all those other things. Those things play a factor, but they are not the core. The core is going to be found in the study and the research. And it's going to be found in looking through other books, looking through researching online. The Bible tells us about our history. So this new Pharaoh that rose up that did not know Joseph, what he ends up doing is he says, the children of Israel, the Hebrews, they're growing numerous. Let us use wisdom on them, lest they become too powerful for us. And in the case of a war, they ally with our enemies and they overtake us. Now they impress harsh labor on them. But before I get into that, let me actually backtrack. I want to miss out on this key point. So think about this, right? What's being said is that let us use wisdom on them. Let us put them to harsh labor, lest they grow too numerous for us. And in the case of war, they ally with our enemies and they overtake us. So what this new Pharaoh is already saying is quite a bit. One, what you're already saying is they're already too powerful for you. Why? They already outnumber you. They already are the best citizens. How can you tell? It's easy to distinguish the Hebrews versus the Egyptians. There's a clear difference. The way they dress, the way they act, the way they talk, the way that they are, the way that they're prospering already. You're already noticing that they're prospering. So what is it that you're trying to do? You're trying to keep them from coming up already. This is where the root of the problem starts. Now, why in the world is it that you would want to impose harsh labor on them in case of an event of war? They would ally with your enemies. Why? You had no intentions on treating the people who were the majority inside of Egypt as that. You had no intention on treating them right. So now you impose harsh labor and they start to multiply and increase more. And now you want to look at killing off all the males when they have babies. So now you want the midwives to get rid of all the males, but they can keep the females. Why? You can use the females to populate. But if the males grow, they learn their identity, learn who they are, they're going to fight back. Men are different. Men are built. They're hunters. They're fighters. They're strong. They're built. Not to say that the women aren't strong. They can't be hunters, but that's not their nature. That's a man's nature. So if you get rid of the men, you can get rid of the black heterosexual male. You can get rid of the head of the household. You can destroy the entire house. You can manipulate the house. You can recreate it to whatever it is that you desire for it to be because women are submissive. So during that time during those biblical times, women were submissive. And now when you look at what they have done to us by fighting to take away the head and manipulating the women into getting them into doing what they want over all of these years, it is no wonder why the dynamic of the black male, the black heterosexual male, and the black woman, why that dynamic is so unpopular in today's society, in today's culture. It's been beaten into us. It's been fed into us, even within the midst of the black community, of even the black Christian churches, whether you are Pentecostal, Baptist, whatever the case is, it's been beaten into us. Why? We're now having all these interracial couples, everything. And I'm speaking from a standpoint that my relationship is what they would call interracial. So look at all that has happened to us throughout the years. We have to return to our God and serve Him, because the reason why we ended up going into captivity is our disobedience. This Parashah also speaks about Moses being born. Moses is born. He ends up being raised. He ends up leaving out of Egypt after he runs away from Egypt after he ends up seeing his brethren in a quarrel. He ends up killing one of them, or murdering one is how it's viewed by some. And so when he realizes that he's been discovered, he runs away. He sees one of his brethren quarreling, and he stops them, and he asks. And I think I actually just related that wrong. So what happens is he sees one of the Egyptians beating on one of the Hebrews. Yes, that's how it goes. And he goes over and he stops him, and he ends up killing the Egyptian and saving the Hebrew. And so him believing he did a good deed, he sees two of his brethren quarreling now. He goes over to intervene, and they stop and ask, who made you the judge over us? What are you going to do? Kill one of us like you did that Egyptian? So when he realized that what he had done had been discovered, he was terrified, and he ends up leaving. He leaves. He runs away. God finds him. He speaks to him through the burning bush, and he pretty much tells him what the vision is, what he's going to end up doing. Excuse me. And then what Moses ends up saying is, well, I can't do it. And he does what we as blacks do. We come up with a bunch of excuses as to why we can't do this, why we can't do that, why this isn't going to work, what I can do, what I can't do. Instead of understanding that God knows our potential, God knows our capabilities. Whether you see the potential in yourself or not, God knows it, God sees it, and He sends people in your life sometimes to help push. We have to have discernment in everything that we do. And so God even gives him his brother Aaron to help him, because he said he's not a good speaker. Even sends an interpreter with him. Still doesn't want to go. Long and behold, he ends up going. And he goes into Egypt. He brings the children of Israel out with the 10 plagues. And they end up leaving, and now they end up in the wilderness. That's just me summing it up. But for the most part, what I wanted to talk about was the going into captivity. And so the going into captivity consisted of how we ended up in Egypt, went in as 70 souls and came out a mixed multitude. And so the important part is understanding our identity and getting that identity back, and our identity being restored in this year. We are on the rise. Like I said, we need to have clarity. We need to continue moving forward with our vision. And what that looks like is everybody has to play their role. Everybody has to know what their role is and play that role. Be yourself. Be who you are. Be who God created you to be, because that is how it gets done. If you are trying to be anything other than what you were created to be and who you were created to be and the weapon that God fashioned you to be, it's going to create friction. It's going to create problems. And so we have to begin praying without ceasing, for real. Pray and figure out what it is that God wants you to do, where He wants you to go, where He desires for you to be, and see how that lines up with what you're already doing, and see if you're already on the path. Because if not, there may be some things that you need to adjust to get there. Figuring out who you are, we need to build the relationship with our Creator, with Yahuwah. Some of us call him God, Adonai, Elohim. The name you use, Yahuwah, the name you use, to me is not that big of a deal. What matters is the relationship. And what we have to learn how to do is be bilingual, be trilingual, be quadrilingual. Be able to speak the language. Why? There are people who are in church that call him God. There's some people that call him Adonai. There's some people that call him Yahuwah. Understand that those names are all translations. It's just translations. You're majoring in the minors if you're concerned with the name. What we have to do is understand that in not making his name commonplace, it makes more sense to have a bunch of different names out there rather than everybody using the same name and making his name commonplace and people just being irreverent to his name. So in order to get to where we're supposed to be, we need to build a relationship with the Creator. Look at our lives. Man makes plans, God orders his steps. What are you trying to do in your life? Where are you going? And from there, do some soul searching. See who you are. See where you have been in your life. See how close you are to becoming the person that you say you want to be. And check and see if it lines up with the Creator's will. And move forward with that. Do some historical research. Check out the identity. What has been taken from us. Why? Doing that kind of research and understanding who we are as a people, who you are as a person, what that is going to do is that will encourage you, and that will encourage those dreams, those visions that you have had, because sometimes along the way, our dreams and our visions and our goals, they get shot down by failures, by mishaps. That's all systemic. That's all systemic. The things that happen in our lives, it tells us not to try and come up, to stay down, stay where you're at. You're not going to be nothing. You're not going to become anything. That's all a part of our identity, our homeland, all of that being taken from us, stripped away from us being taken and moved into a land that is not our own. And now we're in a season where the White House is being broken into, Capitol, by other white people. And the way it's being projected, not too good. They're going to show you from the angle that they want you to know. What we need to understand and see is that if that was one of us, would have never gotten that far. Why? Because of our identity, who we are to the world. No. They would have known if there were suspicions of us even planning to approach the Capitol, approach the White House. We've been shot down long before. Wow, we have reason, suspicion to believe that these folks are making threats on the White House and they were planning to invade. So we took affirmative actions. We had to call the United States government, the SWAT, and all of these people, and we had to prepare for war. We make a move like that, it's war before it even starts. And yeah, America's great. They took care of those terrorists, those black folks. But when the white people do it, they plan it, they attack it, they get in the White House, they trash it, somebody dies, and now pretty much it's on the coast of being dismissed. It will be brought up many and many times, but it's slowly but surely it will be on the downtrend of being cast away. Same way they did to our identity. They're going to start downplaying it. Our names need to be restored. Find out who you are. Research it. Look it up. Grow from it. Learn from our identity. Learn from your ancestors. Look up your history. It will empower you to become all that you need to be. It will make you powerful in the earth. It will put you in position for reparations when they come. Because when we are restored to our rightful place, when the natural branches are back in place, It's going to be a dramatic change in the world, all over the world, because it's going to happen on a massive scale. It will be global. But we need to figure out who we are and position ourselves for what is to come. If we're not positioning ourselves, we're doing our own selves a disservice. And because what we're doing is we're paving the way for the generations to come. We're paving the way for the legacies that we are going to be leaving behind. Not our children, our grandchildren's children. Third and fourth generation is what we're beginning to set up for. Not going to be before you long. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I always have a bunch to say. When I have something on my mind, things that I want to talk about, I want to put them out there. So you guys can like, share, subscribe to the YouTube page. You guys be blessed. Today is Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom. And you guys enjoy the rest of your Sabbath and be blessed.